you're highly creative, you are very driven at the same time, and you understand that if you want to build a business, you have to lean in, do the work, get motivated, be ambitious, and like iterate to keep on going. Live selling is almost a must in today's climate when it comes to making more online sales. So if you're someone who's been timid and not sure whether or not you should try it, or you've been doing live selling for a while and you want to use it to create and engage a bigger community with your jewelry business, you are going to love today's episode because we're digging deep into how live selling has helped this jewelry designer who I'm interviewing today grow her sales significantly over the past several years. Hey there, I'm Tracy Matthews. I'm the Chief Visionary Officer of Flourish and Thrive Academy. I'm also the author of the best-selling book, The Desire Brand Effect: Stand Out in a Saturated Market with a Timeless Jewelry Brand. And I help jewelry business owners grow successful multiple 6 and multiple 7-figure jewelry companies with my methodology, The Desire Brand Effect. And today I'm interviewing one of my former students and mentees, Carla Garro of Lita Sea Glass. And we're gonna dive all up in her business for her live selling strategy and really dig deep into how she's used it to create an engaged community. Her business has grown significantly since we started working with her, 4 or 5 years ago. And she is just a badass when it comes to this live selling strategy. So I'm really excited for her to share a little bit more about her method and the madness behind it and all the amazingness that live selling has really created for her. Before we dive into today's episode, if you're someone who wants more jewelry business advice and you are trying to grow a successful jewelry business online and off, make sure that you subscribe to our channel so that you see when we post new videos. And if you like this video, make sure that you like it right there at that little button below. Okay, let's dive in to this episode with Carla Garro of Lita Sea Glass. I'm so excited to be here on the show with Carla Garro of Lita Sea Glass. Carla, welcome.
Hi, Tracy. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so excited to have you here. We've been working together for a long time now, and we were chatting in one of our consulting sessions that we're doing together, and you mentioned just some amazing things about how live selling has really impacted your business over the last couple of years. So I thought I'd have you on the show to talk a little bit more about that. And we're excited to hear how you're using it to grow your online sales. So should we dive right in?
Absolutely.
Okay, awesome. So tell us a little bit about Lita Sea Glass and how you got started in the jewelry industry.
I've pretty much been making jewelry for my entire life. It's the only interest that I've ever had. I started my company when I was 17, so I started really early on. And at that time, Silpata, I'm going to really date myself here, but Silpata jewelry, like home parties, were really popular. So I sort of jumped on the home party bandwagon and started doing home parties back early 2000s. And then when I was 19, I opened up a women's accessories boutique in Rhode Island where I sold, that was sort of where I started making my own jewelry that I was selling. Nothing like I am today. It was very different, more, like beaded necklaces with shells and things like that. I also sold other designers' jewelry, handbags, watches, women's accessories, basically. And then over the years, that was really where I started making the sea glass jewelry, was in my store at that time. And I did have a website, but everything was really going in the direction of online sales. So in 2009, I decided to just go for it and jump right in. I closed my store in my best year that I ever had and just went on a whim and decided to go full-time online. And I opened up litaseaglassjewelry.com in January of 2009. And from that point forward, I loved being online because I think for myself, I never really resonated with having a storefront full time. I really liked sort of the behind the scenes creating the jewelry and maybe less of the organization of, having a physical location. So in 2012, when I had my daughter, I'm a full-time single parent, I really noticed in that time, I was like, okay, I have something great here that I've created. And I really decided to just go full in on it and make sure that my company was structured in a way that I could always rely on myself and be able to support my daughter. So that was really, it changed my mindset in that year. So yeah.
That is so great. Well, so I find it interesting that you had your best year ever in 2009
Oh
in a
yeah.
retail store, because that time was like a really hard time for a lot of people, 2008 and 9. What do you attribute that success to?
I think because I was in a really small, like, downtown area, I'm really lucky the way that it happened. There was a lot of people visiting. It was a great location.
Yeah.
It's, close to Newport. We definitely had some, like, cruise ships and things like that coming in, and I'm dedicated. I mean, when I say I was open, like, I was there every day showing up, doing the work, and as you'll probably know by the end of this podcast, I love to talk. So I would talk and make connections with everybody as they came in. So I really grew a loyal following. Yeah, so I was just sort of a good setup of the town and the people and all of that. So yeah.
So I've always found it fascinating. Sea glass is such a unique jewelry niche. Like, why did you pick it? Was it just because
So
it was popular at the time, or because like your business is crazy busy? You're so
yeah.
successful. Okay.
Thank you. So I didn't really choose sea glass. It definitely was not popular back when I first started. I always sort of feel like sea glass chose me. I love jewelry, like I mentioned, and always have been, always wanted to be a jewelry designer. But one of the things I got really hung up on always was sort of the array of options that are out there in the world, from the metals to the gemstones. If if I didn't end up working with sea glass jewelry, I think I would have been so overwhelmed by the colors and the designs. I don't think I really could have like honed myself into one thing. So I
Mhm.
had a client actually that came into my store about maybe 2005, 2006, and she shopped with me regularly, really sweet lady. She had recently lost her grandmother at the time, and she said, "Listen, I have family coming in from all over. My grandmother had a little cottage on Martha's Vineyard and she collected all this sea glass. She said, "What can you make for me out of it so that I can go to her services? I want to give something to my family because
Oh,
they had spent summers, on her grandmother's cottage on the beach collecting sea glass together. It was a memory." So I'm looking at this jar of glass and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, how am I supposed to make jewelry out of glass? Like, it's so
yeah,
fragile. Then I didn't want to break anything because I
yeah.
knew, how special everything was to her. But I decided to give it a go and made her some gifts to give to her family. A couple weeks later, she came back in and she had a little collection of sea glass. And she said, "Listen, take this and make jewelry for your store." Everybody loved the gifts. It was a hit. She said, people were crying and they were all talking about these beautiful memories. She said, "You have to do something with this." So I took her word on it, made some jewelry and put it out in my shop. And it just started to become the thing that everybody was coming to me for in the store. So that was really how it started.
That's such a cool, that's such a cool story. And I love that transition because it's really like, you know, there's a couple things that you've said already that I think are really big takeaways that I want to kind of call out. Number one, you didn't really say this, but like you were in it like to do the work to actually make your business successful. And I think this is a misunderstanding that a lot of people have when they're makers and creative and they have a craft, because you're highly creative, you are very driven at the same time, and you understand that if you want to build a business, you have to lean in, do the work, get motivated, be ambitious, and like iterate to keep on going, right?
100%. Yes.
So that is cool. And then also, I think you found like a really particular niche that people love. I mean, it's so crazy. We're going to get more into the sea glass and like how your business is growing later in this episode. I hope. We'll see.
Okay.
Um, so you mentioned that you transitioned in 2009 to online sales. Was there any other motivation besides just like wanting more freedom and flexibility from where you worked?
I just had a gut feeling. I just felt, sometimes like there's those moments in your life where you just take a leap of faith. That was just that time for me. It just, everything was pulling me in that direction. And I just thought in my mind, how cool could it be to,
Mhm.
not that I didn't love, having my store in a way, but it was so new. Like the online world was so new at the
Yeah.
time. And I thought, how cool. Like I can basically have a boutique, but have it be online and not have to physically be here from this time to this
Mhm.
time every day. So I just really went for it at that time.
How'd you get started? Like, where were you selling, on Etsy or what?
Nope, I opened right out the gate with my own website because I
Great.
did have my shop before. And I had a website for my store. So I rebranded, got a new domain name, which is the name of my company now, and built the website or Dreamweaver, which is I
Oh my gosh,
don't even
Dreamweaver back in the day.
I don't even know if it's around anymore, but yeah. Built my website, and then I was doing at that time because there was no Facebook, there was no Instagram, there was nothing like that. I think Facebook was just starting to be something maybe around
Yeah. Oh
2009.
yeah, that's like around when I joined. Yep.
I did everything through Google because I knew that for people to find me that weren't my clients that were already shopping with me, I really needed to make sure that when somebody Googled sea glass jewelry, they were going to see my name. So I got started my own website and then with Google.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, cool. So you obviously got started online. You were selling online. You had sales because I know you were. You came
Mhm.
to us a couple of years ago for some help with online sales and joined a program that we have called Train Your Customers to Buy From You Online. Tell me a little bit about what was going on at that time when you decided to join that program. Like, what were the challenges you were facing with online sales?
So the challenges for me at the time were my company was growing organically. And because I've really only ever worked for myself,
Hmm.
you don't know what you don't know. And there was a lot of things I didn't know.
Yeah.
So I really joined because I was so excited to find a program that was specifically tailored to jewelry and makers. And I wanted to make sure that I was implementing the proper like structure and sort of
Hmm.
behind the scenes setup because I was moving at the time that I started working with you, which is maybe 2018,
Yeah.
2019. I had already started investing in having a team. So it wasn't just myself anymore. And I wanted to make sure that as we grew, like once you start growing, it's like a snowball going
Yes.
downhill. You're just picking up that pace. I definitely couldn't slow it down, nor did I want to, but I needed to make sure that I had the proper structure in place so that it would be able to grow
Right.
smoothly and not have all of these bumps and challenges along the way. So that was when I joined.
I love it. Okay, cool. I love that so much. Now, you learned some things in the program, but also I feel like you were already selling online. So what were some of like the key takeaways and like things that you implemented from that program to help your business grow? Because you sell wholesale and you do some other things, and I'll let you talk about that if it comes up. But like, what were the things that you implemented that really worked for you?
To answer the second part of your question first, I guess we sell wholesale. I kind of started out selling wholesale
Hmm.
before anything really. So we have wholesale, we have retail through our website, and also we do sell on Etsy now. We started on Etsy maybe like 2010 or so, but didn't really do a lot with it until the
Hmm.
past couple of years. But mainly it's our business website that we have. So those are our different avenues.
Hmm.
And then with our live selling. And then when I joined the program, one of the things I loved about TYC is it was perfect for somebody like me because I wanted the information, but then I really wanted like to do it on my own, but then be able to get that feedback on it. So it's great for anybody that's really dedicated and motivated to
Hmm.
doing the work. And it was interesting because as makers, we always have a lot going on here in the studio
Yeah.
and you're always busy, you're always got your hand in something, but I really learned that I wasn't properly showing my community or the rest of the world what I was doing. I was lacking on my email advertising and I wasn't showing up as regularly as I should be with doing the emails and even just putting fun content out there to show what's going on. I'm so used to it. I kind of always think like, who wants to see this, but
Yeah.
it turns out it's very interesting and a lot of people do. So that was an eye opener for sure.
That's awesome. So let's talk about live selling. We were chatting about a month or two ago, and you're like, Tracy, I just want to tell you, like, the live selling stuff that I learned in the TYC, like, completely changed my business. So tell me a little bit about that. Like, when did you start live selling? And I really want to dig into some of the things that you're doing now because it's so cool. Like, I love it on Wednesday. We had to schedule this interview early enough on a Wednesday so you could do your what's new Wednesdays. So tell me a little bit about that.
So I started in maybe like 2018 using Instagram before they had the live feature.
Hmm.
So I would use it more as like a small video post and then show a grouping of items up for sale. And so now, as everything has changed, it's become a lot easier to do live selling. But that was how it started. In 2019, I decided that we used to do 2 in-person shows per year that were tailored towards Sea Glass, and I decided not to do them any longer because mainly I was having to leave my daughter. It
Mhm.
just, you know, anybody that does shows, it's a lot of setup, it's a lot of travel, being away from your family and your kids. And once I got to the show, I felt like it wasn't fair sometimes because there are some people you're only catering to that small audience that's in that area of your show and you miss everybody else. So I had the idea, I was thinking, how fun would it be to show up in some sort of a platform. I've now chose Instagram, but at the time was considering a few different avenues and be able to really show people what we're doing to kind of give them that boutique feel. I wanted people to feel like they were coming into a storefront and really getting a one-on-one
Mhm.
experience, but have it open to everybody. So that was around the time that we started. And then, of course, none of us would have known how things changed, you know, in 2020, everything
Yeah.
in person was shut down anyways. And so we really set it up just as a fun way to connect with everybody, to show them the jewelry, answer questions, and now we do it weekly. So
Okay, so tell us about your weekly lives. What's the purpose of them? How are you showing up? Like, how do they perform? Like, I want to hear all about this.
we just started this the end of 2022 and beginning of this year, doing weekly on Wednesdays, What's New Wednesday. So the idea of it is to be able to just have a time to show up and be present with our clients. I feel like when doing things online over the years, I've really been trying to implement a way to have that more, like I said, boutique experience and that client connection. So we do always have a very small handful of jewelry items that we show to our clients. Today we're showing sea glass marbles, and I like to use that time to really highlight very different things that we do. So of course with sea glass, everything is one of a kind. No two pieces are alike, which makes it really fun and unique. But with these shorter lives on Wednesday, we do them for about an hour. I wanted to like hone it in and show very, very specific special pieces that are even different, even for sea glass. So that's the idea behind it. And then, of course, sometimes even if we don't have a lot of items that we've made new that week, I'll still pop on and say hi to everybody, answer questions. So we definitely use it as a time to connect and give clients an opportunity to get to us if they have questions, not only about the jewelry, but about, you know, customer service or about shipping, anything really. We just
Hmm.
like to show up for them.
How many people usually show up to one of your lives?
So if it's an afternoon live, I think we usually hover around like 40 people. That kind of will stay on. If it's a nighttime live, which we do bi-monthly, we've gotten up to around like 350 people or so.
Wow, that's huge. And you're selling on those lives, right?
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
how does that
Yes.
work? Because some you told me, I think you told me a couple of weeks ago, like you sell out of every piece that you show for the
Yeah.
most part.
For the most part, if it doesn't happen within that live event, then definitely when we save and repost the live, you know, people can still sort of shop
Yeah.
at their convenience and items will sell out afterwards. So originally when we first started selling online, I'm not gonna lie, it was definitely a labor of love. I mean, when we started doing these lives, because you know, you're trying to keep track of everybody's
Yeah.
comments and then make sure that you verbally out loud let everybody know like you've got this piece and you got that piece, and then create the invoice to send to them. Since then, we've been using an online software that automatically tracks their comments and sends them automated invoices, which has
Mhm.
been
That's comment
phenomenal.
sold, right?
Yes,
Comment
yep,
sold.
we've been
Okay.
using the comment. So I didn't know if I could mention
Yeah,
that. So
you
yes.
can. Yeah, I know a lot of people
Okay.
use comment sold, but it's super helpful tool. Yeah.
Yes, it's awesome. I've been really enjoying that. So it basically works like a website. You want to load all your products in ahead of time. That way you can put everything together of what you're going to be showcasing. So it's a little bit more, you know, planning
Mhm.
involved to make sure you have everything ready ahead of time. But I do think it's also easier for the client. They're not waiting on us to receive an invoice. They get it automatically and they're
So
able
good.
to pay and ask questions right through there. So yeah.
Who sets that up and organize it for you?
So I have a team member, Sam, who works in the
Sam, do you
studio
wanna
with me.
come up over here and say hi? Because she's behind the scenes, I already know.
Here she goes.
Like, "Hi, Sam."
So, yes, Sam, her face is red now. She likes to stay behind the scenes a little bit,
Yeah.
but she's wonderful. She will pop on sometimes with the clients now that she gets to know them a little bit better throughout the years, but she's able to set up all of that for us, which is wonderful, and get all the products uploaded. So,
Yeah, she's like your number 2, which is awesome. Or number 1.
yeah,
Number 2?
my right hand
You're the
person.
number 1, your right-hand person. So I highly recommend all of you who are beginning to grow and you start getting your business to like maybe multiple 6 figures is to get a number 2 because it will be so helpful as you grow. And it's really helped you grow in your business too, having that extra support, right?
Huge. Oh my gosh, it's been huge. You know, it's funny, a lot of times when I'm talking with people that own businesses, they always say they wanna duplicate themselves, but I think sometimes it's just the opposite. I mean,
Yes.
of course, everything would go, smoother. You could have one of us at home and one of us working, but to have somebody that's like thinks opposite you, like my strengths and Sam's strengths very much complement each other. So it's really nice to have somebody within your company that you can rely on that can not only enjoys different parts of the business than you do, but really excels at them because it's hard when you're creative to try to implement that structure. For
Mhm.
myself, I know my mind just doesn't work like that. And that's really where, Sam
Yeah.
excels.
Well,
So,
that's the thing is like some people's zone, there are a lot of people whose zone of genius is like your total weakness, like in general,
right.
right? I mean, I feel that so hard right now. We were talking before because like we're recording this on like a full moon like day. And the energy of this full moon is all about organization and it's highlighting everywhere you're not organized in your business. For me, it's been a
Absolutely.
little bit of a struggle. So you need like the human organizer, which is amazing. So how do you get organized before one of your, because you're doing this on like, you're doing this every single week. You're showing up on What's New Wednesday every single week
Mhm.
and you're selling products. They often sell through or almost sell through, and then they sell through by the end of the week typically. And then you're doing nighttime lives as well, twice every other month or twice a month. I always forget what by monthly.
So it's every other month.
Yeah.
Usually there are a couple of months that we'll do them back to back, just depending on what we have going on. Because we do also do bi-monthly. Well, we do 4 collections a year, which I can't
Mhm.
remember. I also took your Momentum program, and I
Yeah.
can't remember if it was in Momentum or TYC. It might be both that you guys talk about that, but we do collections 4 times a year, bi-monthly, so every other month, nighttime lives, and then we try to stay weekly with our What's New Wednesdays. Once in a while, we'll skip a Wednesday, but there's just a lot of organization. We have mapped out not only what we're, making, but when we're selling and the products we wanna offer. We have it mapped out for an entire year. So from
That's
now
so
through
great.
next February.
So you
Yeah.
already know what you're gonna sell next week on. Wow.
Yes. Yep.
Your planning skills are like crazy. That's amazing.
They've evolved.
Yeah, it's incredible. So congratulations to you on that. That's just like incredible.
Thank you.
There's a follow-up thing that I wanted to ask about that, but if it's meant to be happen, it will come out. So one of the things like you joined TYC a couple of years ago, one of the things that I think in a program like that, you make an investment now that ends up having like a long-term effect on your growth. Can you tell me a little bit about how your business has grown in the last couple of years since taking TYC?
Yeah, so I think definitely taking the program changed my mindset. I am a doer.
Yeah.
So I'm used to doing things myself, which was fine when it was just me inside of the business. But I really had to start looking at how to become a better leader and how to shift my mindset to looking at, I mean, I am a big picture thinker, but pulling myself out of the business and working on it, which is something that you talk about a lot in all of your
Yeah.
programs. And it takes a really, really big mindset shift, in my opinion, because for me, it sort of goes organically against the grain of what I naturally
Mhm.
do. So that's been my biggest challenge, but it's definitely something that every single step of everything inside TYC and also in Momentum, which anybody that's thinking about doing TYC, if you like it, I would strongly suggest that you follow up with doing Momentum afterwards. I feel like it's a good next
Yeah.
step. And that was sort of, how I took things. And it made me focus on, okay, this is what's going to be helpful, not only for me, but for my clients, like what they're
Yeah.
going to need out of the business, and then where my time is best spent because really as things grow, I can't do everything. You just start burning yourself out.
Yeah.
So,
I like that. You learned how to delegate, which I think is a huge, huge thing for people because your business has been growing so quickly. So coming back to TYC, what are some of the specific results you had after taking the program?
So after I did the TYC program, I was like laser focused on knowing that I needed to be emailing more, which specifically got us, a much better turnout for our Instagram lives. We started using our email marketing, which is something that you were teaching a lot of inside the TYC program to not only fill our clients in and make them feel like they're inside of the studio with us and giving them behind the scenes of what we're working on, but also to inform them of where they could find us. So a lot of our clientele, they're so cute. Like many people weren't really comfortable with Instagram, hadn't been on there. So we were able to convert people and show them, how to join, how to create an account so that they could watch our live events. So we were able to specifically use that to drive, people to our events. And that way we can talk with them, we can connect with them because really that one-on-one connection was our main focus for the past couple of years is really being able to engage with our clients and get to know them better. So,
I love that. That's so great. How's your business and life changed since taking the TYC?
so I mean, I think everybody's life has been different these past couple of years. We've definitely expanded a lot, not only within the company, but I think anytime that you have like a personal company, it's almost like so much personal growth at the same
Mhm.
time. So we've expanded into a 2,200 square foot huge open studio
So awesome.
downtown. So it's beautiful. I feel so grateful to have the space. I love being here. We've expanded our team, which was very nerve-wracking to me in the beginning because I didn't really know at the time. I was just so used to it being just me. And
Mhm.
so I've definitely gotten over that. We have a team of people in the studio and we also have some virtual assistants that work with us as well, which has been really nice. And I have for sure been able to set up healthier boundaries, which I think is so important
Yeah.
for entrepreneurs and makers to have the healthy boundary, which believe me, it's not all figured out. It is still a work in progress for
Yep.
sure, but much better than when I started of setting up like that work time versus home time and making sure to put the computer down and things like that. And it's really taught me sort of just how to hone my mindset and to be more strategic with my time and make sure I'm focusing on what needs to be done and not getting lost in that day to day. So my life and just my surroundings have changed a lot since taking the program.
I love that. That's so great. Would you recommend it to others? And if so, why?
Absolutely. I think especially I don't even think you necessarily have to be a jewelry designer. I think pretty much if you're a maker, you have an online business in general, a lot of people can get really great value out of the program. It's just like I said before, it just kind of helps you become laser focused as to this is what you need to do, this is what you need to work on. I would suggest to go in very open-minded because even if it's something you've heard before, it's like you might know, conceptually like, oh, I should be doing this, but it's are you doing that? And if
Yeah.
you are you doing it to the extent that you should be? Because I think we're all guilty of this in some capacity and we all have great, hopes and expectations, but it's you have to get past that comfort level. It's like you need to be emailing
Yeah.
more than you should be, and you need to be making sure, certain things on the back end with like your numbers and how much jewelry you're producing and inventory and all of that lines up. So I think it just helps you get laser focused. So if you're somebody that wants to either add more structure into your company or make sure that you're learning sort of the ins and the outs of where you should be spending your time, I think, it's a great program for all makers to jump in on.
I love that. You said emailing more than you should be. I think you meant emailing more than
Are
than you,
comfortable with.
yeah, comfortable with. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's such a great, I love that. That's one thing I feel like a lot of people get out of the TYC. They're like, when I started emailing more, my sales grew significantly, which is so great.
absolutely. Yeah.
Carla, thank you so much for being here. Where can people find you and where can they watch your live selling events?
So we are at Lita Sea Glass Jewelry. So our website and Lita Sea Glass Jewelry on Instagram. So Instagram's definitely our preferred platform. That's where we do all of our lives. And thank you so much for having me here today. This is awesome. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much, girl. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you so much for watching the show today. Lita joined us for our Train Your Customers to Buy From You online program, and that is exactly where she learned how to use and incorporate live selling into her business. So if you'd like to learn a little bit more about how you too can train your customers to buy from you online and scale your website sales, then head on over to flourishthriveacademy.com/TYC and fill out an application today.